Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thanks very much for staying with me. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm excited about having Tom Asacker back on the show. Tom is a longtime member of our Brain Trust, coming up on, already had our 9th anniversary with Tom, going to have a 10th one early next year. He is one of the top branding experts that I've ever met, and a pretty darn good management expert as well. He's the author of a number of books, including A Little Less Conversation. And he's our good friend, Tom Asacker. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Jim.
It's good to have you back. A Clear Eye for Branding, that's another one. Another one of Tom's books. Tom, there's a country music song, the title of which is, I Know What I Was Feeling, But What Was I Thinking? And how many times, in the 20-plus years I've been a small business owner, 21 years now, 21 plus, how many times have I looked in the mirror and said that to myself in the morning when I was getting ready? I know what I was feeling, but what was I thinking? Why did I do this? Why did I become a small business owner? What do you think?
Well, you made a decision just like everybody makes every decision in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
You make your decisions with your feelings, and then you rationalize them with your thinking.
Yeah.
We are not thinking machines who feel. We are feeling machines who think every once in a while.
Say that again. This is going to be on the test, ladies and gentlemen. Say it again, Tom.
We're not thinking machines that feel. We're feeling creatures who happen to think every once in a while.
Before we were able to think, we were feeling, right?
Yeah, well, we're always been feeling. We're feelings first. That's what people forget.
Yeah.
Feelings first, thinking second.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think when you go into business, it's great to do feelings first, but you've got to get those feelings right, and then you'll succeed, because if you get the feelings wrong about why you're doing what you do, the outcomes they won't come along for the ride.
I know a lot of people who are very passionate and very committed to their business, but they had such a bad strategy, such bad fundamentals, they never had a chance.
You know what I call that? I call that. Have you ever heard that expression? Do what you love, and the money will follow.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about what you love, it's not true. I mean, there's a ring of truth to it.
Well,
right? Passionate people who love and are open-eyed and curious about what they do, and they study it, and they spend time learning it, and they do more of it, and that attention and that love will make you successful if you're doing it for the love of someone else as well. And that's what people miss, Jim. I got to tell you, it's puzzling to me. I walked by a woman yesterday, and she was boxing up a bunch of inventory, and someone was in unscrewing fixtures. I said, what's going on? She says, well, we're out of business.
Huh.
11 months, I blew $6,000.
Only $6,000 in 11 months? Wow, I'm impressed.
It might have been a little sideline business. But the point is, I've seen this type of thing going on around me for the last 2 years. And it's because people are doing what they love, whether it's, they're consulting, coaches, retail, it doesn't matter. They're doing what they love. But what they're not doing is solving a problem for someone else. They're not doing something because they think they can improve the lives of other people in a big, big way.
Right.
And that's the key.
What do you stand for? Yeah.
Well, that's the key. People think they create business. I tried to tell people, somebody, and he got lost in the subtlety. I said, look, you don't create a business. You co-create it. He says, what do you mean, with partners? I said, no, with customers.
Right.
It's a co-creation process. You're in it together.
It's a dance that you do, isn't it?
Yeah, you're in it together. You don't do it on your own. You don't extract value out of the marketplace. You get together with other human beings, and together you make value for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a distinction that's lost on a lot of people. They think that they create something and then they extract value out of it. It doesn't work like that. You're not drilling for oil. You know, you're dealing with social creatures here, human beings.
So you're saying, and I like your analogies, because if you're going to be successful in business, you're not depleting something. You've got to share something. You've got to put your stuff with somebody else's stuff to make something bigger, which ultimately means that both parties are happy, and maybe you create opportunity for somebody else.
That's exactly. You're in it together.
Yeah.
You're building something together. It's a back and forth. It's a sharing and learning.
So if you're thinking about starting a business, you should say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is what I expect to get out of it. But don't stop there. You should then ask yourself, will anybody else care? What will this be? What will this mean to anybody else?
Yeah, you know what, Jim? I'd go in reverse order. I remember telling my dad when I was a kid, you know, in my 20s out of college, I said, you know, I'd like to do this. You know, I'd like to start this kind of business or this. He says, have you ever done it? And I said, what are you talking about? He says, go work there.
Exactly.
What makes you think your ideas are that much of an improvement to somebody's life unless you've seen it and done it and felt it?
No, exactly. And, you know, I've given that advice to other people. I've had people to tell me they wanted to go into, you know, this business, young people, I want to go into this business. And I say, well, do you have any experience? No. And I said, well, they say, what do you think I should do? I said, I think you should go get a job in that industry and see if you, you know, and learn the industry and then go into business for yourself. But, you know, they didn't like that advice.
Well, I know. You see, you need to be driven by some itch to improve something. But the only way you get that itch is if you experience that something.
Well, my friend Peter Meyer says it this way. I'll try to quote him the best I can. He says, you can't have a problem hunting for a solution. I mean a solution hunting for a problem. You can't have a solution hunting for a problem. You can't come up with that. That's what you were talking about, that we do the wrong way. He said, you got to identify something. You got to identify a need and then fill the solution. And that's what you're talking about.
You know what, Jim? It makes everything so much easier as well. I mean, if you have a vision, and a passion for improving something, then you can place your goals inside of that vision and that passion, and then you don't become obsessed with your goals because it's your passion and your vision that's ruling your direction.
I want to talk about this a little bit more because I want to talk about I've got a few more questions for Tom. Tom Asacker is our guest. His book is called A Little Less Conversation. That's one of his many books.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights